This is a little match that's a proper little curio from September 2006 in a very small organisation called Liberty States Wrestling. This sees Kamala take on the then Ring of Honor champion, Bryan Danielson. In a nutshell, it's the world's greatest wrestler taking on Bryan Danielson. You thought I was going to say Kamala. This is a really interesting time in the mid-2000s because it's the time when the independent scene was, there was no competition really for the WWE apart from TNA. And the indies were, rather than sort of thriving, they were a bit sporadic and spotty.
Right.
But what you do get is you get this moment where you've got these big stars who are on the way down meeting the stars of tomorrow. And there's no match that sums that up better than Danielson versus Kamala.
It's one of those things where it's like, I've watched it. I still don't believe it happened.
No. This match took place in the Cardinal Sheehan Centre in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Prince Nana comes out and he is the ref. He was and is today currently a manager from Ring of Honor. And he has a Nigerian prince gimmick. But the thing I like about Prince Nana a lot is they don't do a big thing about him being Nigerian or a prince. He just comes out and he's like,
shut up, you pigs.
Yeah, exactly that.
Pigs.
I'm going to bring you the man who is going to take the title home. And I really like the fact that there's no sort of thing about going to my ancestral home.
Right, yeah,
They just sort of go, he's Nigerian, he's a prince, but actually that's really not what he's about.
Yeah.
He's just basically a manager.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's done as lightly as that.
Yeah, and then Kamala gets in.
Then Kamala comes out. Yeah. I mean, he comes out to his old WWF theme. Not allowed.
Not allowed. Not allowed.
And he's got his old traditional 80s handler, Kimchi.
Yeah.
And Kimchi is not an African name, right?
No, it's not.
Kimchi is the pickled Korean
cabbage.
Yeah. Really odd to take the most famous Korean dish and go, he's got a sort of, is kimchi African? He wears a safari suit, which suggests he's from the West.
Yeah.
Still not Korea. But then...
It puts me back to, wrestling ideas of what is exotic food. You know what I mean? Kimchi foreign, innit?
Yeah.
It's like Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the phone trying to order American food.
I do wonder if Kimchi in the 90s was sitting at home thinking, I hope that the food kimchi doesn't expand in popularity because I'm hearing a lot about it.
Yeah.
And I've noticed on Google when I type in kimchi, I'm not on the first 3 pages. And I'm worried that my legacy relies on how much people will embrace fermented pickled cabbage. He's lost that battle now.
Yeah,
everyone. It's like kombucha. That would have been a good name for a wrestler.
Kombucha.
Please welcome Kareem Muhammad and kombucha. He comes out with his beautiful belly, old Kamala.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's brilliant about Kamala is he never really changed shape throughout the whole of his career.
No, he never got noticeably bigger or smaller.
No.
His legs got slightly more spindly and he was sort of overhanging the spindly legs a little bit with his gut.
He no longer looked, if you like, solid.
No,
he did look quite sort of squashy. But also, the way that he wrestles is sort of brilliant because he wrestled so basically in the 80s when he was at the very peak of his career that when he's wrestling now at 56, he's still doing the same stuff. And it's so limited, you just go, it's good on Kamala. Doing all the hits, the big chops.
Yeah.
Tapping his belly, giving another chop. It's an amazing thing when you sort of go, someone has got a gimmick so down pat that actually it takes very little effort to make it all work.
But I guess it means that he can do that at 56 or whatever it was.
Danielson, will he be able to wrestle like Bryan Danielson at 56? Kamala was able to do that.
It'd be funny if he just wrestled like Kamala. Just doing weird big chops and slapping his belly.
But you might say...
his torn belly.
What does it matter? Well, I say it does matter because I say that Kamala, if Danielson doesn't get to 56 and wrestle exactly the same way as he did at his peak, then Kamala is the better wrestler. And we have to accept that. And then out comes the Ring of Honor, very serious champion, American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. He'd won the Ring of Honor belt the months before in Liverpool in an absolutely classic and very, very bloody match. Very stiff, hard-hitting. Seen as being easily one of the top 10 matches to ever take place in Britain, certainly in the last 30, 40 years, against Nigel McGuinness. And he defended that belt routinely. The last match he'd had before this one with Kamala, he had beaten Japan's Kenta, who was at the time one of the best wrestlers in the world, in a match that had lasted half an hour. Now he is wrestling Kamala. And even though it's not going to be a technical masterpiece, you can see that Bryan Danielson is sort of going, I will try and give Kamala his last great match. Maybe even his first great match. Difficult to say. He just plays along with it. And that's the brilliant thing about Danielson. I think at this time, there were plenty of indie wrestlers who wouldn't take themselves too seriously. And Danielson goes in there and goes, how can I get the most entertaining match out of Kamala? And he realises to do that, he has to just play Kamala at his game. So they have a test of strength and he stamps on Kamala's foot. And Kamala hobbles off, you know, like a little boy. You know, he's supposed to look frightening, Kamala. And yet he's very good at empathising the sense of being, I am a childlike savage.
Yeah.
And when he stamps on my foot, I am hurt, not just on my foot, but in my little heart. And I find it a beautiful little act. 3 months before this match took place, Kamala had actually had a little cameo on Raw. He'd taken place in a match where he'd lost to Umaga. Right. So he was still floating about a bit. A few nights before this, he had lost to Hacksaw Jim Duggan in a high school gymnasium in Georgia. The strange, indigent way of the independent wrestler. And this was basically in the last 3 years of his career. He would retire before his health problems became much more severe. So I think he retired in about 2009, I think was his last match for Juggalo Championship Wrestling, where I think he teamed with a guy called the Weed Man.
Weed Man.
And in 2011, he would have his legs amputated due to complications from diabetes.
Yes.
The other complication was he had refused all medication to deal with that problem over the years, which, think.
I mean, yeah. Why? Any particular reason?
I just couldn't be bothered.
Just couldn't be arsed.
You know, I mean, I think you would look back on that and go, called that one wrong. Really did call that one wrong. There's a little bit where he just throws Danielson. I mean, there's not a great deal of action in this.
No, it's just a lot of chops. And the Green Lantern, there's a man with a Green Lantern shirt in the front row being a dick all the way through it. Throw him around.
A lovely bit where he just throws Danielson out of the ring, and you can see Kamala sort of half going, oh, fuck, I've got to get out of the ring. And he really sort of like, that one little moment, you go, oh yeah, you are the 56-year-old man, aren't you? You're not the Ugandan savage, the Ugandan giant. You're elderly James Harris. And you have to now climb out of the ring. They mess around outside doing a lot of sort of brawling, and they knock the curtains off the backstage entrance, and then Danielson slams Prince Nana the ref into one of the walls, and Kimchi yells in the microphone, absolutely unintelligible, just garbage, to sort of calm Kamala down, I'm not sure. And
in Afro-Korean.
Yes. And then Kamala is given the win by disqualification because Danielson has attacked the ref.
All I can tell you is that referee Prince King Nana has thrown it out. It's a disqualification of the American Dragon. And the winner this evening is Kamala. Don't leave. I'm waiting.
Danielson hadn't lost a previous singles match in over 5 months.
Does that kind of smack of like, I'm not putting him over?
Possibly, but I suppose there's a slight thing of going, what's the best value that we can get out of this? And Danielson beating Kamala is, you know, I mean, he's an old guy who gives a shit. But Kamala winning by DQ because Danielson, the great technical whiz, lost his temper and made a mistake. I think you sort of go, that's the sort of loss that I think Danielson would have been like, I'm quite happy to lose to Kamala.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's a nice thing to do. The reality is you don't come out of this just going, I think maybe Kamala is the best wrestler in the world. You come out of this and going, that was nice of Danielson. I feel uplifted. And in a weird way, what could have been a tawdry and depressing experience was just a silly one.
Yeah. Take note, Ric Flair.
Yes. Kamala, he would die in 2020. But in the 2010s, Kamala began releasing his own music through his website. And he had an album called The Best of Kamala Volume 1.
Yes. We have had cuts from it in the past, I believe. It's beautiful.
That's right.
I look at my wife, she say, we're still falling. If I had $1 for the places I've been, I wouldn't have to worry. I have hurt Boudin.
But Harris wrote, performed and produced his own music, and he started in 1993. Covers everything from working conditions in the wrestling industry to just generic sort of good time, funky synth pop. And this is, I thought we'd play out with a little bit of Kamala. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Not that I think, it's actually commercially available, which is a damn shame, because I know that there's a best of volume 1. I would like to get at least to the best of volume 46. And I think he could probably do it. But this is a little song which is about him not seeing his 6-year-old granddaughter for the best part of a year. Not explained those circumstances. And it is entitled, entirely wrongly, Booty Girl.
It's always like this.
Well, folks, let me tell you about my grandbaby.
Please do.
Hey, booty girl, I hadn't seen you in months. The one I call Booty Girl. Booty Girl. She's just 6 years old. And it's been almost a year since we've seen one another.
Not explain why.
Booty Girl. Hey, booty girl. Now, that's a long time for a 6-year-old. I was sitting in a Walmart parking lot. When up popped my grandbaby Booty Girl. You know she talks a lot.
Call her Booty Girl.
Girl. She said, hey, Paw, I hadn't seen you in months. She said, hey, Paw, I live over there. I said, you do? Well, come show me where. Booty girl, hey, booty girl. And then she said, whoops, I wasn't supposed to tell. I said, that's okay, grandbaby, I understand. Just whenever you get a chance, just give me a landline on South Central Bell. And she said that she would do that, booty girl, the very first chance she gets.
I mean,
so many questions. Why's she got Booty Girl? Why has she been instructed not to tell Kamala where she is?
I don't know. Why is he like, well, you must get into contact via a landline? What, so you can track the number and then, retrofit where it is? I haven't seen you for a year. It's a long time for a 6-year-old. Why? Why? And I do think that, if you just discovered that and it was made by a 60-year-old man with no legs and it wasn't Kamala, you just go, I mean, this guy is absolutely my latest jam. It's so funny that Kamala didn't speak at all, and the only time we really hear him is when he sings.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a Walmart parking lot. This sort of like diary song.
It's like he's turned up to the studio and goes, I do believe I forgot to write any lyrics. And he goes, right, what's happened to me recently? I was sitting in
front of the microphone, looking at the bit that holds it up. Booty girl. Just amazing. Again, all I'm going to say is, has Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryanson, whatever he's called, I can never remember anymore, has he released his own self-penned synth pop album? No. And until he has, can he say he's a better professional wrestler than Kamala? Can he fuck?
Whoa, baby.